Hello, Books That Changed the World, Animal Farm by George Orwell. There's an old saying that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And George Orwell's Animal Farms is one of those books that looks simple on the surface. It's short, it has animals in it. There are pigs, horses, sheep, dogs, hens, and a farmyard revolution. And you can almost mistake it for a children's story. But it's not really a story about animals. In fact, it's a warning about human beings. And George Orwell published Animal Farm in 1945. Orwell had already seen how political movements could begin with noble ideals and end in oppression. And he was deeply concerned about totalitarianism, propaganda, and the way ordinary people can be manipulated by those who control language, fear, and power. And the story begins on Manor Farm, where the animals are tired of being exploited by Mr. Jones, the farmer. Inspired by the dream of Old Major, they rise up, drive Jones away, and rename the place Animal Farm. And at first, everything seems hopeful. The animals create commandments to guide their new life. The most famous idea is simple: all animals are equal, but slowly things change. The pigs take charge, Napoleon pushes out Snowball, the dogs become his private police force, and the commandments are quietly altered. The animals work harder, eat less, and are told everything is better than before. And Boxer, the horse, keeps saying, "I will work harder." And Napoleon is always right. And by the end, the great commandment has become all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Does that ring a bell at all? And that line still stings because it exposes one of the great dangers of the human heart. We can use the language of justice while practicing injustice. And three themes particularly stand out. First of all, the danger of corrupted power. The pigs begin as liberators and become tyrants. And the book reminds us that good slogans do not guarantee good character. And a noble cause can be hijacked by selfish ambition. And power really needs accountability. And leadership needs humility. Otherwise, the rescuer becomes the ruler and the ruler becomes the oppressor. The second theme is this: that's the danger of propaganda. Squealer, Napoleon's spokesman, twists words until lies sound reasonable. He changes the story, rewrites history, and keeps everyone confused. And what Orwell does so well is shows us that when people lose access to truth, they become easy to control. The thing is, words matter, truth matters, memory matters, and a society that forgets truth soon becomes frightened of asking questions. And thirdly, the danger of passive obedience. Not all the animals are wicked. Many are simply tired, frightened, busy, or simply trusting. And Boxer is loyal and hard-working, but his loyalty is used against him. And that's one of the saddest parts of the book. And it's possible to be sincere and still be exploited. It's possible to work hard and still never ask, who benefits from my labour? And there's a Bible passage from the Gospels that speaks into this. It's Mark chapter 10, verses 42 to 45. Jesus says that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over people, but his followers must be different. He says this: whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. And that passage gives us the antidote to Animal Farm. And that involves not using power to dominate. Rather, the purpose of power is to use it to serve. So the idea behind this is we treat people not as tools, but as neighbours. We don't climb over others to become great. We actually go low in love. And Animal Farm shows us what happens when leaders use people for themselves. And Jesus shows what happens when true leadership gives itself for others. And the challenge for Animal Farm is simply about paying attention. Pay attention to leaders who cannot be questioned. Pay attention to language that hides behind cruelty. Pay attention when people would say it's for your own good. Because sometimes they use it as an excuse for control. And pay attention to your own heart, because Napoleon is not only out there in history, that desire to be charged, to be over other people, to avoid correction, to bend truth in our favour, that can live in all of us. So here's a short prayer. Lord, give us courage to love truth, wisdom to recognise injustice, humility when we are trusted with influence, and compassion for those who are overlooked or used. Help us not only to resist corruption in the world, but to confess it in ourselves. Amen. So, this is the memorable thought I'd like you to take away with you, if you wouldn't mind. Animal Farm reminds us that equality without humility becomes another form of tyranny. Thank you for watching. Feel free to subscribe, pass this to other people, or use it for whatever purpose works for you. Thank you for watching.